Hi, this is Mike with OnPoint Software. Welcome to our video on fundamentals for Microsoft Access. This material was used as a prerequisite learning session for some courses we did at Sage Timberline user conferences. If you'd like that full material, please shoot us an email or call us up and we'd be happy to send you those PDFs. All right, setting up ODBC. Let's hop over to our virtual machine called TUG 2011. And I'm on a Windows 7 machine here. One quick tip and trick, be careful. If you're using a 64-bit operating system, you'll want to use the 32-bit Timberline ODBC driver. So with that in mind, to set up ODBC so that we can connect Microsoft Access to our Timberline data, click on Start and go off to Control Panel. Within Control Panel, click on Administrative Tools, and within Admin Tools, go to Data Sources, ODBC. All right, in there, simply click Add, and we're going to set up a DSN as I scroll down to our Timberline data. So highlight Timberline data and click Finish. All right, at that point, give your DSN a name. Let's just call this Timberline data. All right, not too creative today. And click on Select Folder. And make sure that your company data is highlighted. Now here all I've got is the Timberline construction sample data that came with the software. You'll want to make sure that yours is highlighted. Then click OK. Then click on the Options tab, and under Table and Field Naming, change that to Standard Descriptions, and make sure that none of these checkboxes is checked, so that it looks like this. All right, click OK, and hit OK again, and then bail out of Control Panel, and you're back to the main menu. All right, all that we've achieved here is setting up a DSN or data source name like a pointer to your Timberline data so that other programs like Microsoft Access that are quote-unquote ODBC compatible can see that data and use it in the software. All right, getting started with Access. Go ahead and launch Microsoft Access. And you come to a Getting Started screen. Now this is a bit different than things that we're used to in Excel or Word or Timberline or other programs. Access is asking us if we want to open an existing database. We can hit the most recent ones or click More to browse out to your database. Or it's asking us if we want to click or create a new database, which is what we're going to do. We're not interested in the templates today. Okay, so simply click on New Database, or Blank Database rather. And over to the right, we open up a dialog box where we can do two things. We can name our database and browse out to the location that we want to save it to. So I've browsed out to Documents, and I'm simply going to call mine Database 1 and hit Create. Congratulations, you have successfully created your first Microsoft Access database. Notice that in the Create menu area, we can create different areas, different things. We can create tables, we can create forms, we can create reports, and create other items. When we're creating in the fundamental sections or fundamentals courses that we teach, when we create tables, we don't want to use any of the wizards that are available. We'll generally go to Create Table. When we create forms, we don't want to use wizards. We want to go right to Form Design. And when we create queries, we don't want to use those wizards either. We want to go right to Query Design. Another tip and trick, what I like to do on the navigation pane is organize my material by object type so that my tables and queries are all together. That makes it easier for me to deal with things. Okay, notice if I make a new table it defaults to table 2. So now I've got table 1 available that came with the software, opened up rather with my new file. And I've got table 2 now that I've just created. A few things to master before you get started with your own database are the fundamentals of saving and modifying and saving. Within your table or within your query that you may create, you'll have different views that you can select based on whether or not you want to go to the Datasheet view, which is viewing your raw data, or to the design view, which are which in this case is a schema of the table. You can also toggle between different views by right-clicking the tab and going between design and Datasheet view. All right, you'll have that same concept in tables and in queries. You can save tables and queries by hitting the Save button up top, or by simply right-clicking and clicking on Save. I'll right-click Table 1 and click Save. Notice I can also close this table or close everything, all open tabs. And when I do that, then my tables or queries, if I had them, are now available off on the left-hand side of the pane, under the navigation pane. Another tip and trick, if you've got a table open, in this case I'll double-click Table, and I'm landing at the Datasheet view. Again, I can right-click and go to Design View, or with that table highlighted, I can hit my View button on the upper left and toggle between views. But I wanted to show you if you've got a long table with lots of information you're wanting to view, a lot of columns, you can minimize your navigation pane by clicking this vertical arrow here. Horizontal arrow, I'm sorry. So now our navigation pane is our navigation pane is minimized, and I can of course open that back up by hitting that horizontal button. All right, when we launch database, we come to the default window where we've got a few different panes we want to get familiar with. Off to the left, we've got what we call the navigation panes. This area will contain existing tables and queries that we create and that we're working on. This area here in the middle, I call this the design area. It defaults to table 1. We have a table that's created for us automatically. As we open up tables and queries and work on them in different views, we'll see tabs here for the various tables and queries we have open at that given time. As we save them and close them, they are available off to the left, where we can open them or reference them with other tables and queries. All right, on the top, we've got the menu items: Home, Create, External Data, Database Tools, Datasheet. And then within each of these areas or these menus, we've got buttons available to us. We're going to want to get really familiar with what's available in the Home and what's available in Create. All right, maximizing our virtual machine here. Let's take a look at creating a query that will go out and mine our tables or other queries for information. So to do that, we'll go to Create, and then we'll go to Query Design. Now the first thing that happens is Access is asking us, what do we want to query? Do we want to query tables, other queries, or both? And we'll go ahead and select Table 2 in this case. So I could either double-click Table 2 or simply highlight it and click Add. At this point, I'll click Close. There's no additional tables or queries I want to choose. And we've got Table 2 added to our design area. Now, we've got no fields of information created on Table 2. Otherwise, we'd see the columns or the fields that we could choose to query or mine in our database. All right, parts of our query design area. We've got the table area. And then below that on the lower grid, we've got a section that's going to show the fields we choose, and then some attributes or information about that column. Do we want to sort specifically a certain way on that column? Do we want to show it on a query? And are there criteria or filters on that specific field? Notice if I hover over the horizontal bar, I get the vertical arrows, and I can hold on my left mouse and expand or squeeze in the size of that section. Off to the left, I've still got my navigation pane. If I've got a lot of data I want to see going horizontally on my query, I can minimize that navigation pane. That's pretty handy. And then off to the right, please don't ever lose sight or forget that you've got a property sheet that will have a lot of controls on the behavior and connectivity of queries and tables. All right, once I create my query, I can right-click the tab and save it in any name that you prefer. I tend to make my queries names start with QRY for query, and then I'll just call this query 1. I'm not being very descriptive or have much imagination this morning. Notice that on my access objects now, I've got my tables and the one query that I've created. I can right-click and toggle between Design View, SQL View, and Datasheet View. You'll want to play with that and get used to that. On tables or queries that have information in them that you understand. And I can also save my query and close that tab from here. If I want to reopen that query or other tables, simply double-click. And in this case, that query will open up back in my navigation area, or to the right rather of the navigation pane. Hello. Let's open in Design View. I want to mention also the different types of queries, or the primary ones that you're going to get used to running. You've got select queries, which go out and select information based on your criteria. We've got make table queries. They go out and take your data you've selected and make a table. We've got append queries that are kind of like make tables, except they don't make a table with everything in your query. They will append an existing table with what you've retrieved on your select query. We've got update tables that actually don't create rows of information. This alternatively will change a field within a table. So you may have a table of job cost codes. We don't want to make another table or append that table. We want to update something specific on a cost code, maybe a status or a contact person. All right, we're not creating any rows, we're updating existing rows. We've also got delete queries, which do exactly what you might think. They take data on that table that you've selected here and delete it. So that brings up a really important point. Always back up before you run any kind of a query that's going to delete or otherwise manipulate data in your database. Okay, next in our video, we're going to look at creating new forms. So let's first of all close our existing query and start with a clean slate. Now a form is a way to control the way users see queries or see your database. We don't want them to see the raw data behind the scenes. We may want to create a form that has only the pieces of information we want them to see, and it really controls not only the user experience but the way they can manipulate your data. So when you create forms, go to the Create menu item and go to Form Design. Tips and tricks. First thing I'll generally do is hit this black button on my form to activate the property sheet for that form. Now notice on our menu here on our design, we also have the view between Form View, Datasheet View, Design View, which we can also access by right-clicking on the tab. But going left to right, we can insert things, insert text box, labels, control buttons, insert subforms. All right, so we've got a lot of options on what we call controls to add to our forms to make them more user-friendly. So what I would suggest in your office, hover over these icons and take a look at what's in there. Now let's practice adding a form control. So with our new form open, and here's our form design here, okay, we're going to add a text box. So to do that, I'm simply going to left click my text box, and you'll see when I drag my mouse my mouse cursor down, this text box is attached to my cursor. So I'll go ahead and I'll left click somewhere in the middle of the form, and you'll see two fields appear. The one that's focused or that has the border around it is my actual text box with its property sheet. To the left of that is the label attached to my text box. So, a lot of times on our labels, we will change those labels and put them above our text box if we've got a columnar type input pad. So this is a description of what's in that text. Maybe it's our job ID. And then within the text box, we'll be pulling data or doing whatever it is we do there. Okay. Notice also if I right-click my text box, I've got a lot of options. I can change this thing to different types of boxes, and I can also get to properties from that area as well. What I would suggest you do is take a lot of time, click your text box or the label, and hover over and get used to left-clicking and moving those things around. Okay, get used to navigating those things. Notice that if I hover over my label and I wait till I get the 4 crosshairs, not on this box here attached to my label, but over the label border itself. When I hold down the left mouse button, I move both the label and the text box. Whereas if I highlight my label and hover over the box or the square on the label, I'm moving just those fields around. They're not attached at that point. We hope you found this video helpful. If you would like the PDF document, in other words, the handout material that we use at our conferences, please shoot us an email. Here's our contact information, or give us a call at 417-581-7700. We're also happy to send you the actual course material. We've got Microsoft Access Getting Started, and we've got another course called Microsoft Access for Sage Timberline Office. Thanks for listening and viewing this, and have a great day.